Alright, hello everyone. This video is for anyone who is on the path. And when I say the path, I mean the internal journey of awakening and aligning yourself with something higher that you know is your true self. The path is probably something that you have been on for a while already, or maybe you've just begun it, but you feel so enveloped in it. You feel like it is the reason why you're here, and you feel like you have to get to the bottom of yourself in order to embody a new kind of version of yourself, the true version of yourself. And that is how you're going to live out this life that you dream of, that has in the past felt so impossible to achieve because of your own inner failures, I guess, or like inadequacies, and also because of your own external situation and environments that don't feel like they can afford you the life that you want to live. So if you are interested in integration, interested in archetypes, interested in Carl Jung and psychology, and Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, and ascending higher in consciousness and becoming more of your true self, not finding out who you are mentally, not knowing your personality, but coming down into your solar self, the part of you that is shining from beyond the physical realm. So if you relate to that, then I'm going to give you some tools for integration and tools for finding that inner light so that you can embody more of the life that you have always dreamed of. So I'd like to begin with my first point here, which is longing for home. So how does this path begin? The path begins when you feel a deep desire from somewhere within you, somewhere so deep within you that it feels like it's beyond you. And it is a desire for more truth, not more knowledge, not more ideas, not more perspectives, but more complete truth, which there is such a thing. And when you find that real complete truth, it fucking lights up your entire world. It is truth. It is love. It is light and life and love and, well, consciousness and God. It's all the really good things that I keep pointing to my solar plexus because it feels like this warm, bright, loving light that is just like, oh my God, amazing. And there is a desire within you that knows that love and that light and that God, that source, that thing that feels like it's calling you home. And I remember on the beginning of my path, one of the themes or the ideas that kept coming to me were of home, of longing for home, of remembering some kind of home, and like feeling like no matter what choices I made and where I moved and who I was in relationship with and what community I was a part of and what job I had, it didn't matter what I did. I always felt like it was so far from my home, even though in societal terms, I felt like my life would objectively be considered good and happy and fulfilling, and, you know, this is where people want to be. And I felt like there were a lot of parts of myself that were being fulfilled through my life. But there was always this part of me that felt like my home was missing. And that word home is very, very special and very deep. And like, your home isn't just the physical house that you live in. It's not just the physical environment that you live in, your community, your family. That's an aspect of your home. And ideally, your physical home would feel aligned with the internal home that you crave. So When I say that I felt like this longing for home, and then I remembered this place that in some distant past, I remembered it. I knew that I belonged there. I knew that that was my home. And I was trying to find it externally, I guess. And I was also trying to find it internally, but I didn't have, like, this journey began 15, 20 years ago, and there wasn't any like resources for me at that young of an age to see the truth and to grab it. And now I feel like there are so many like people and books and videos and podcasts and in-person retreats and stuff like that, where it's like, this is the home I've been longing for. The recognition of what I've always felt to be true within me. The path begins with this knowledge, with this internal knowledge, this internal remembering and longing for this place that you call home, that is not external, but it is a peace. It's a place of dwelling within yourself. It's a place of peace, a place of belonging, a place of knowing who you are, that is and becomes your home that you take with you wherever you go externally. So I was longing for this feeling of belonging, this feeling of knowing truth that felt like home to me. And now that I have that, my path is leading me towards integrating that truth and integrating that home so that I can feel at home and be led towards my external home, if that makes sense. If you feel that and you're wondering how to get it into your body and get it into your life and to become that person, then let's continue. So point number 2 is the war within. This point is about unease and dissatisfaction with yourself and with your life. And I feel like I need to slow down because I'm just like speaking from whatever words come to my mind. And I want to be a little bit more intentional with this. So I'm going to try and slow down and give you what I truly intended when I wrote these points. Because I don't want to just blabber on about random things, even though that's what I usually do in my videos. So I'm going to bring it home. Yeah, I feel like I was on this path like since I was born. But for the first 12 years of my life, I didn't have anything guiding me towards the path. I knew that I was on the path, but I felt like everything I encountered in my external life was not the path, and I didn't know how to find it. And I came to this point where I had such a horrible relationship with myself because I felt like I didn't know who I was, and I had this deep desire to live a more fulfilling life and to be more of who I knew I was. And I was looking outside of myself and I was comparing myself, and I wasn't really conscious of this comparison. It just felt natural because it was like, okay, I am unhappy with myself and I want to be a better person. And so I would look externally and see people who were living more authentically than I was, and I would try to reflect upon my own life and try to figure out what it was that I was missing, that I needed in order to be more of my true self. But I was comparing myself to other people and trying to attain attributes that aren't natural for me. And I was trying to force myself to change and to become some version of myself that I thought was what I wanted. And I still deal with this war within on a daily basis. Maybe not a daily basis, but on a daily basis, on a regular basis. It is still a very deep part of my life, because I feel like when you see somebody who is in line with their passions and they're acting from a place of true self, and they're being authentic, and they don't care what people think, and they're just expressing themselves, there are certain people that you might see doing that, and you might think, oh, I relate to that, or I wish I could be like that, or that feels like me. And then you think, okay, I need to embody more of those things, and I need to force myself to act in this way so that I can be that person. But there is so much more to you than your mind can conceive when you begin this path, because you might look at someone else and feel like you relate with certain aspects of them, and so you try to mimic them and try to become like them, but you're missing the very core of your being. It's very surface level. It's like saying, I like this positive attribute and this positive attribute, and I am going to take my negative attributes and try and force them to become like this. But you're missing the root that would cause those attributes to flourish in the first place. So, with that being said, how do you improve yourself and your life if you don't know who you are and what you truly want? So, point 3, knowing thyself. Get a general feel for who you are. Don't look outside and see what inspires you, because you're just going to get the surface level thing that you're going to try to aspire to. You need to cut off those external expectations and sit with yourself and go into your heart, into your gut, into your soul, and ask yourself, who am I? Who do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to live? And what words come up? What things come up? What sentences, what values are there innately within you without having to look externally for inspiration or resonance? Look within yourself and just let those answers come up from within you. What is it that you value more than anything? What is it that you want to see manifest in your life? What is it that you want to create? What kind of person do you want to be for your family, for your community? Write those things down. It doesn't have to look any certain way. Just write. Just write it out. Just pick 3 questions that you're going to ask yourself. And then ask yourself those questions honestly, and just write whatever the hell comes out of your mind, out of your heart, out of your soul, out of your gut. And let it be there on paper so that you can feel like you are tapping into your deeper desire, that longing that you have for something more. And rather than trying to get a quick fix from searching for something and trying to grab something and pull it into your life, you are going to the core of your desires, and you are asking your own desires how they want to manifest so that you can pick those things that are you. You're not trying to be like somebody else. You're revealing what is you so that you can see it and start to work with it. So point number 4, knowing thyself, part 2. So if the first stage in knowing yourself is journaling and figuring out what your values are and who you want to be and what your life vision is and all the things that feel like they're just naturally flowering from your heart, from your desire centers, and you get a general glimpse of those things. Step 2 is knowing your blueprint, knowing your personality, knowing how your heart naturally feels, knowing how your mind naturally thinks. These things are so important, and I feel like when I look back on my life and I think of my progression through this path, when I started doing personality tests and started to learn more about myself, it really changed the game for me, because instead of thinking that I should be acting like other people are acting, but I can't do it because I'm trying and trying and trying to force myself to be like this, and it's just not natural for me. It feels so bad for me to try and act like somebody else. So figuring out my natural cycles and tendencies and rhythms allowed me to know myself in a way that just started illuminating pathways where I could use my desires and allow them to flow through those pathways and create a life and a timeline that I desired. So here are my 5 tools for personality tests. There are so many things out there, but these are things that I have had in my personal life and that have helped me, or that I know are things that could help you. So I'm challenging you to start with, if you haven't done any kind of personality test and you're very new to this, start with 4 temperaments, because it's only 4 things and you're going to get an answer that's either undoubtedly 1, or you might have 2, or you might have 3, but you'll have 1 that's more prominent. And it's such a simple way, because there's only 4 things. It's such a simple way to just see generally like what kind of demeanor you have and your general approach to life. 4 temperaments. Look that up. Next thing is 16 personality types. Just look that up. 16 personality types. This is a development of something that Carl Jung came up with, but this is something, when I did that test, it made me feel seen, even though nobody was seeing me. It was just like the computer was seeing me. The computer was a mirror and was revealing back to me a part of myself, or the entirety of myself, that I had never seen before. So it made me feel seen and known, and it made me feel like I was not alone, because there were other people who were in this category. So that's a really good tool to use. The next 2, human design and astrology. So I haven't done any kind of tests or like really deep diving into human design, but the next thing I'm about to say is based off of human design, and I do believe that there's a lot of really, really amazing things in there. So if that is something that calls to you or feels right when you initially look into it, roll with that. The other thing being astrology. I know there's a lot of weird perceptions about astrology, but the truth is, it is so vast. And I am very annoyed and unimpressed with people who look at their sun sign only and say, this is my horoscope for the day or the month or the year, and they'd only identify with the astrology of their sun sign. That is a big part of who you are, but there are so many other things. There are so many other big things and so many other little things that are flavoring your sun sign that you would never be able to find yourself by just looking at the astrology of your sun sign. There is so much more to you. And astrology is something that I really, really value, and I don't use it as much anymore, but there was a couple years of my life where I was really drawn to researching certain things about my own astrology chart, and then researching things about what was happening externally, because there's so much. You may think you understand the planets, the signs, the houses, the aspects, but there is so much there that when considering transits and stuff that's happening now in certain aspects to your birth chart, forget that you know everything about astrology and how to read it, because there is so much there. And I would challenge you to look it up, and like AI overview is a really great way to just say, okay, I have my sun in this sign, my moon in this sign. What does this mean? This is my rising sign. What does this mean? I have Venus in my 5th house. What does this mean? Just do a few little searches with certain things that stick out to you and see how much light is revealed through that knowledge that you can attain. The last tool I have for knowing yourself is my favorite one, which is the gene keys. So if you haven't heard of the gene keys, but you're really interested in this stuff, for the love of God, look into it, because it is the closest paradigm, the closest perspective, the closest, I don't have a word for this. I feel like it is the one form of thought and ideology and philosophy and psychology that is all-encompassing and is entirely rooted in truth and in undeniable genealogical fact. So if you have not looked into the gene keys, but you are interested in this stuff, please, for the love of God, look into the gene keys, because Richard Rudd is such a saint. I love that man. I love that man. I love listening to him talk. He feels like truth in my heart, in my soul. When I listen to him, I smile and I feel at home. And the gene keys is, yes, a really, well, actually, it's not a very good way to learn your personality, because it's very elusive and like, not abstract, but what's that word that Carl Jung uses? Numinous. It's elusive and numinous, and it's very specific. But the words that are used are sometimes a lot deeper than your initial thought of those words. So you have to be aware of that, and you have to allow yourself to open up to more of what those words mean. So basically, the gene keys will give you a profile, kind of like human design or astrology. So you have certain spheres in certain placements, and each sphere is correspondent with a number. And those numbers, there's 64 numbers, and each number has a shadow, which is the lowest frequency of that sphere, that number, the gift, and the city, and that is the highest expression of that energy. And so when you look at your chart, you can see not only certain aspects of yourself. You don't just see the gift. You see the exact shadows that are pervasive in your life. And you can see which placement those shadows are in, and how you might realize that you have a trigger or a shadow or an unconscious, unhealed pattern in this area of your life. And it helps you to specifically name it, and helps you to overcome to the next level, so that you can overcome ultimately to the next level, which is your home. So, alrighty. Point number 5, pathways of integration. So, when you can become aware of your shadows, and the shadows are so, if I can try and explain this, God help me. When I was talking about your home, your true version of yourself, the truth, the love, the light, that solar energy, that part of you that is eternal, that is pure consciousness, pure love, pure light, ultimate truth. And there are other words for that. But that is who you are. Eternal love, eternal light, eternal consciousness. And this human experience that we are born into, through our genes, through our parental influences, through our environments, through our social interactions, our schools, our friends, our relationships, those experiences layer on shadow after shadow after shadow, so that the light, your true essence, your true nature, which is light, is clouded and shrouded and veiled by your shadows. And your shadows are things that you developed out of a necessity to protect yourself, or fears of certain outcomes happening because of childhood traumas and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but you know what I mean. Like, these shadows formed because you were trying to feel safe. And embodying those shadows and becoming those shadows, unfortunately, because of the world we live in, you have to develop shadows in order to become safe. Because the world, society, our cultures do not accept the true self to be. They force you to oppress yourself and repress your gifts, because that's just not the world we live in. But that is the world that we are creating. So that is why we're on this path. That is why we're doing this work, so that we can break through those shadows and remind ourselves of the true light that is within us. So pathways of integration, becoming aware of your shadows and triggers. So when you become aware of your shadows, and in terms of the gene keys, like, you literally have specific words for like 12 areas of your life and what you could become if you were to overcome those shadows or to accept them and integrate them. And when you become aware of those things, it's such a beautiful process, because it's still so hard. Even though it should be easy, because the truth is, it is easy. Our light flows and shines through us so effortlessly, but our egos and our personas and our safety mechanisms contort that energy and make it all clunky and chunky so that it can't flow properly. And we are so programmed and ingrained with these shadows that they are the only thing making our life hard. There is no such thing as hardship externally. Even if you encounter some real trauma, some real deaths and horrible things that happen, they are just shadows. Whether they're your shadows or they're shadows of someone else. That's all they are. And when you can become aware of the shadows within you and the shadows within other people, then you start to have a lot more compassion for yourself and a lot more compassion for other people, because you know that the bad things that you're doing and the bad things that they are doing are just because they're trying to protect themselves. They're trying to make themselves feel okay. And unfortunately, a lot of people are very unconscious to their shadows, and they project them and they do very horrible things. But when you can become more aware of your own shadows, then you can slowly begin to contemplate them, begin to notice them when they come up. Because if you have a word for a certain shadow that exists in a certain part of your life, and you're having an experience, a life experience with that part of your life, and you notice that shadow coming up, you can name it. And you can say, oh my God, this is gene key number 29 showing up in my relationships. And I am operating at the shadow level right now. And just noticing that is good enough, because then you can, once you're aware of it, you can learn to accept it. And when you learn to accept it as just what is, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just a natural thing that you do. And when you can become aware of that and accept that it is there, and it is giving you this specific life experience, but the truth is that it doesn't have any weight. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just an experience. When you're aware of that, when you accept that, you can learn to integrate and embody that and let it sink in and be loved and be okay and be good within your soul. And that is where it turns into a gift. Let's move on to the next point, which is embodying your gifts. So you can use these personality tests to find certain aspects of yourself, certain gifts that you have within you that feel good, that are things that you want to attain. And you can use your mind to do this. But that is ultimately not going to get you anywhere, because your mind is also the home of your ego. And so your ego is going to be at war with the part of your mind that is trying to attach to what is true. And they're just going to be rationalizing. And this is not a rational journey. This is an intuitive journey. And so my first thing to say about this point is let your heart be your guide, because your mind is helpful to contrast between what you used to think and what you now know to be true about yourself. And your mind is helpful to weave and untangle certain things and to become aware of certain things. But ultimately, it is your heart that is the birthplace of your gifts. And you cannot use your mind to implement your gifts. It has to be integrated. It has to come from within you. So when you do journaling, where you look at the gene keys and you look at your gifts, where you look at your life vision, or you look at the version of yourself that you want to be, and there are certain gifts, there are certain values, there are certain things you want to create. Which of those gifts or creations or parts of yourself excite you the most? And which goals, which gifts are the most inspiring? And how can you develop a clear enough vision where you can say, this is something that I want. Not an ego want, but a true soul desire. And once you have that, and it's coming from an inspiring place within you that makes you feel alive, how can you implement that goal coming to fruition in your life now? What can you start doing that will bring you closer to the fulfillment of that desire, even if it's just making one video out of 30 videos? And maybe after the 30th video, you achieve your initial desire. But the first thing you have to do is create the first video. How can you look far enough ahead, not be too specific, but be very emotional about it in terms of allowing yourself to see and feel and embody now what you want your life to look like? And how can you channel that energy into doing things in your life right now that will eventually, if you keep up with it, lead to the life that you desire? Another thing that I've found really helpful is just reminding myself of what is true. And there was, I called it manifesting or affirmations, but basically this thing that I was doing that helped me for a while was I had this little booklet, and I would, every morning for a while, I would write truths, and I guess they were affirmations, but it wasn't like I was trying to convince myself that something was true. It was like I was tapping into the core of my being, and I was writing things about myself and about my life and about experiences that I was about to have that were affirming what was really true and what I really wanted to embody and what I knew was possible for me to experience and be in those moments. And I was writing them as if they were true, and I was feeling into them. They made me feel really, really good. So that is one way to allow and remind your heart and your soul and your gut and your body and your mind what is true, because it is so easy to forget, to be trapped in the patterns of the ego. And it is essential to remind yourself to remember truth, because you wake up and you just go down the stream you've always gone down. And it is essential to create little pockets. Just start with little tiny moments of trying to align yourself with who you know you truly are, and to remind yourself little bits of truth that are always true. Like, I am free. I am eternally safe. Those things are always true, no matter what you're experiencing in your life. I am light. I am love. I am aware of my experiences. There are certain things that you can say to yourself that are ultimate truth, no matter what is happening in your life, internally or externally. So reminding yourself of what is ultimately true helps you align with that source energy within you, so that you can use the present moment to decide what is good for you, what is right for you, to decide to allow your desires to come into this life, to manifest themselves in this life, rather than forget and live in this unconscious pattern that you have been living in. So it is essential to remind yourself to affirm what is true. And that is how you will embody your gifts. Now, the last point that I want to make, I have titled The Anchor and the Compass. So this is how you remain at home through the process of the path. So I kind of just touched on that with affirmation and remembering what is true, so that you can align yourself with the path, with your true self, so that you can use each moment in your life to direct yourself closer to the self that you want to embody and the life you want to live. So what are other things you can do that anchor yourself into your internal home and the compass that lead you towards the things that are true to you? So number one is daily self-care and connection. And this is actually very hard for me. Some people are just amazing at like dedicating a certain amount of time per day towards self-connection, even if it's like 10 minutes in the morning when you first wake up. That is amazing. If you can do that, please do it. But finding a way where you can, on the daily, ideally, connect with yourself in whatever way feels most natural to you, whether that's just going for a walk or sitting and meditating or journaling or doing whatever it is that helps you to connect with the core of your being. Remember what is true. Remember you are already whole. Remember that you are eternally safe, because your ego is constantly convincing you that there is a threat here and a threat there and a threat there, and you have to protect yourself all the time. But the truth is that you are eternally safe. There is no threat. There is no threat. Even if you were to die 10 seconds from now, that's not a threat. You are eternally safe. You are eternally safe. And that's a big thing to say. And obviously, I still struggle with the fear of death sometimes. But when I'm in touch with my internal truth, I know that there is nothing to be afraid of, not even death. And God, the more you can really allow the truth, the real truth, to live in your body, the more the ego falls away, because you know that you are safe, you are whole, you are love, you are light, and there is nothing you need to do or change in order to live that full life. You just need to be aware of the shadows and let them be a part of you. And know that the true light of your own self is brighter than any of your shadows, and that it will shine through every time. The next thing is trust. Trust in this truth. Trust in God. whatever that is to you, or trust in yourself. Trust in your own knowing of who you are, the eternal part of who you are. Because when you trust in that, you know that every single thing that happens in your life is meant to happen. And you know that the more you can become aware of the present moment, the more you can become aligned with your inner self, the more you will consciously be able to create the life that you want to live. And the more unconscious you are, the more you will continue to create the life that you don't necessarily want to create. And that's not a bad thing. You don't have to feel guilty or shame about that. You just have to be aware that that is what you are creating. And it's not bad. In a roundabout way, all the bad, all the unconsciousness is just a catalyst for transformation. And no matter how many times you fail, even though you may know what's true, you may know your heart's alignment, you may know what you desire and who you want to be, and maybe you keep failing. Maybe you're addicted to something. Maybe you're really afraid of something and you keep falling back into the same thing. It's all good. It's all good. Because God knows, you yourself know, that in order for you to truly live your true self, in order for you to change and grow and evolve and elevate yourself, you might have to go through this cycle a couple of more times. And that's okay. That's okay. So allow the divine dance. Surrender to, there's this term that Richard Rudd uses. I want to say it's evolution, and involution, I think. So let's just say that evolution is the thing that's always growing up. It's the masculine form in life. It is the thing going from physical matter, trying to reach up to God. And involution is God trying to reach into man and trying to know the deeper parts of itself. And our lives are full of this yin and this yang energy. It is full of ups, it is full of downs, and we get trapped when we constantly identify with the evolutionary, but the masculine, trying to move forward. And there are essential parts of our life that require us to go backwards, to go downwards, to go inwards, and learn more about ourselves. And you might think that you've overcome certain shadows and that you're ready to evolve into the next state, but there is something else that needs to be worked in through you. So allow that divine dance and surrender to both the masculine and the feminine energies and let them do their thing. Become aware of them so that you can say, okay, I feel like I need to be inward. I need to let go for a bit. I need to surrender and let myself rest and relax. Or maybe, okay, I need to let go of the apathetic way of life I've been in and the laziness, and I need to apply my mental energy, and I need to focus, and I need to be direct, and I need to try and use my time wisely and focus on certain things and attain certain things and manifest certain things. Great, but know that it is a dance of both, always. It will never just be one direction. It is always a spiral. Next point. Detach from expectations and allow each moment to be an opportunity. Kind of just tying into the last thing. Do not expect that you will go on the straight path forward. Allow each crossroad where you don't know where to go. So you know where to go for so long and then boom, now you don't know where to go. Allow this to be an opportunity. Allow this to feel like home. And surrender to it. And allow a different part of yourself to come up and say, this is what you need right now. And forget the mind and allow another part of you to guide you in those moments. There is no finish line, just deeper levels of integration and embodiment of light. None of us can know what enlightenment will look like for us. We are already enlightened. We are already enlightened. We're just covered in shadows. So this life is about seeing the shadows and allowing them to be there and allowing them to be part of the dance of the clouds casting shadows and creating rain on the land in order for it to grow. Like, that is a natural and necessary part of life. There is no sunshine for 30 days and you walk and you walk and you walk and you walk until you get to the end. There's day, there's night, there's sun, there's rain, there's storms, there's life, there's death, there's all kinds of things. And they're all God, they're all you, they're all experiences that are truly beautiful. And you would do good to surrender to it all and to allow it to unfold and to express itself through you in the way that is you. Because you are going to experience that sunny day, that nighttime, that rainy day, that all those things. You are going to experience them so uniquely and so differently, and not only are you going to experience them, are those experiences going to come into you and feel a certain way compared to what they would do if they were experienced by someone else. But you have your own gifts, your own essence, your own expression of the one true light that is calling in that experience for you specifically, so that you can shine your specific light through that experience and create something that the world needs. So if you can view your life in that way, view all of your experiences in a way where it's just you, it's just God, it's just the higher mind, it's just the higher path, the golden thread that is weaving into your life all of the things that it knows you need, but you don't know you need. So the more the true you, the soulful you, the higher you can surrender and let go of what your mind thinks should happen, and trust and see the golden thread moving through all of these things, and allow yourself to just let everything be an experience and let it feel good. Even if it doesn't feel good, let it be good. Let it be good. Let it be home. And let it shift and move your shadows so that you can become, like, you don't get rid of your shadows. You just transmute them. You just elevate them so that they're not operating without the light anymore. They have light bursting into them, and so they turn into something else. And the more you do that, the more your entire life becomes light and easy and fulfilling and beautiful and blissful. So that's what you can do if you want to learn to integrate yourself a little bit more. I obviously have a lot to do in this regard, but I know what I need to do. I just need to keep practicing, I guess. And I'm not going to be hard on myself for not attaining this self and this life that I desire yet. I'm just going to allow my entire life to be an experience, and I'm going to always trust in myself and trust in God and trust that I'm safe and trust that everything is good, even if I can't see it, because ultimately, even the darkness, even the shadows are just light that we cannot see. There is so much that we cannot see with our eyes, and we think that light is just a matter of the eyes, but it is not. Light is vibration. Light is sound. Light is this fabric. Like, it's all just vibration, vibrating at different levels. And there's a certain band of frequency that we can see with our eyes, and that is what we call light. But everything is vibration. Everything is light. And there are certain parts of your mind that you can't see because they're not light, but they are frequencies, and they are just operating at low frequencies. And the goal is to elevate that into higher and higher frequencies so that we can truly live in the ultimate and eternal light and life that is within us. So, anyways, I don't think I have anything else to say. So, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next intentional video where I write notes and speak about It's something that means a lot to me. This was like 40 minutes longer than I wanted it to be, but you know what? It is what it is. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.